Christopher Nolan has always been a director whose films have stood out amongst the vast amount of indistinguishable blockbuster films. Nolan's large-scale works are not adapted or sequelized from existing projects. Rather, they exist as original properties within the genre spectrum, a tradition he continued to pursue with his latest work, the science fiction espionage thriller, Tenet. With the state of the current Hollywood blockbuster industry clearly putting an emphasis on consumer-driven, high-budget projects, the industry seems to be killing original ideas in favour of money-making franchises. Although there are many filmmakers still making original works within the confines of the Hollywood system, few are given the freedom and colossal scale of that of a Nolan project. Love him or hate him, it is hard to ignore the power that Nolan has within the current state of the blockbuster industry. Given this, it is understandable to see why few blockbuster filmmakers embrace the challenge of saving the multiplex experience quite as much as Christopher Nolan attempted to do with Tenet. Throughout his career, Nolan had frequently sought to reinvent the very concept of the Hollywood blockbuster, always seeking to provide his audience with a true cinematic experience, the same experience that inspired him when he grew up watching films such as Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey and Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. Always seeking to blend his inventive storytelling ability with a level of technical craftsmanship and ingenuity that is rarely matched in the big-budget arena. It is clear to see that with Tenet, Nolan has never been so ambitious in both a narrative and technical sense. Perhaps destined to be one of 2020's largest box office successes, the impact COVID-19 struck caused Warner Bros. To postpone the original July release date for Tenet, in favour of a September release in hopes of waiting out the pandemic, which would make it the first major studio release with reduced theatrical capacities. When this decision was initially made, Tenet was quickly talked about as the film that was destined to provide a much-needed spark and in turn save the theatrical industry. And whilst the film fulfilled the first of those requirements, one can't quite say it achieved the second. But why should it have? Why should Tenet have to fulfill this, when it was never a film designed for this specific purpose? Armed with only one word, and fighting for the survival of the entire planet, Nolan's cinematic assault on the senses follows an unnamed protagonist as he journeys through a world of international espionage, on a mission beyond conventional time in which he learns to shift the flow of time in order to prevent an attack from the future that threatens to destroy the present world. With battle sequences that harken back to Dunkirk, an elaborate espionage narrative that moves and flows like Inception, and a core structure that is begging for a similar dissection like Memento, it would be easy to view Tenet as Nolan's attempt at crafting his magnum opus, as he clearly seeks to incorporate many of the trademarks we have come to expect from a Nolan picture. Perhaps this is an element of self-awareness from Nolan's part, who must now understand both his own style and also what audiences expect and want from his films. Now, whilst Tenet does seem to be quintessential Nolan, it still seems to elevate its own stakes and challenge the breadth of Nolan's own talent, even if his own ambition sometimes appears to be too great. Many often criticize Nolan's cold and clinical approach to human characters, and this is an issue particularly prevalent in Tenet, a film in which the central character himself doesn't even have a name. His characters have no backstories or any significant personality traits beyond what is merely necessary. Now, is this a flaw in Nolan's armor, or is this precisely the deliberate point of Tenet? The callous, precise, and technically skilled works of Nolan have never been films that have been lauded for their thematic heart or humanist philosophies. Nolan builds his films like a functioning mechanism and fills them with elaborate exposition designed to challenge the minds of his audience. Christopher Nolan seeks to do what fellow large-scale auteur Stanley Kubrick attempted to do by seeking to distance and dehumanize his characters from the narrative itself, almost as if they merely exist to propel his concepts and ideas into the forefront. Many may struggle to engage with this approach, and others like myself will embrace it, praising Nolan's approach to Tenet as a work of sheer cerebral cinema and its ambition to demand engagement and attention from its audience. At its core, Tenet seeks to deconstruct the nature of time itself, all while it explores the universal and socially relevant tale of a desperate humanity that is seeking to prevent a bleak future that they already know is happening. Shining a light on many thought unfilmable philosophical concepts, although perhaps not fulfilling its touted potential as the so-called film to financially save the theatrical experience. Tenet provides us with yet another reminder of why we need more original concepts within the blockbuster system. Because these rare glimpses of unique cinematic experiences shouldn't be just reserved for filmmakers like Nolan. They should be an annual systematic mainstay because they provide us with imagination, inspiration, and hope for the future of mainstream storytelling.